Minimalism is all about the details, or lack thereof. I suppose either way could be argued. We're going to explore this concept today as we take a look at the Sternglas Naos Pro Automatik wristwatch. This watch is a Bauhaus-inspired watch that again favors a more minimalistic design language, but at $799, are we getting enough or is it just too minimal? Let's find out. It is 2:47 p.m. Let's get down to business. So Sternglas as a watchmaker is known for a more minimalist Bauhaus design language all throughout their catalog. Now, I've been very vocal about my opinions on some Bauhaus watches. I think that some are very sterile and kind of boring, and others are very, very interesting. What I will say is the more minimal a watch's design is, the harder it is to pull off. Now, the first thing I noticed about this watch is some pretty nice contrast, even though there's not a whole lot going on the dial. Now, this variant is the black dial, but it's not a very deep black, it's more of like a dark gray. Down by the 6 o'clock, we see a nicely bordered date window that is color matched, and there's some interesting splashes of color, again, minimally. It's not too crazy, but we see some nice contrast at the 12, 3, 6, and 9, and another facet of this watch that's very eye-catching is the second hand. It's a very nice rich red as it glides very smoothly across the dial thanks to that 28,800 VPH sweep coming from that premium Miyota 9015 automatic movement. Let's jump into the specs. Again, this watch is powered by that premium Miyota 9015, minimally decorated with a black rotor, 42-hour power reserve. This watch has a polished bezel with a brushed case and lugs. It is 316L stainless steel. You're getting a 38mm case diameter, only 9mm thick, and 42.4mm lug to lug. This watch has a domed sapphire crystal with a 5 atmosphere water resistance rating. And the watch only weighs 67 grams, so it's very, very comfortable on the wrist. You almost forget it's there. Now, I do want to note, I am wearing this on a man cave leather strap. This came with a bracelet, and I'll show some images here, and also almost like a patent black leather strap. They have some different strap options on the Sternglas website. I just had this kind of nice gray, beautiful man cave leather strap. Again, they're one of my favorite strap makers, and it was the perfect size, 20mm lug, and yeah, it just looks great with this kind of dark gray dial. So how does it wear on the wrist? Well, what I will say is 38mm for some of you out there might sound really undersized on paper, but with the 42mm lug to lug and my 7.5-inch wrist, it seems to wear exactly how I like a watch to wear. It doesn't encompass the entirety of my wrist, and the lugs aren't hanging off each side. Now, because of how thin this watch is and the overall elegant presentation, this could work as a dress watch in your collection or just a nice refined everyday piece. Let's jump into the pros and cons. First pro, they put a great movement in this watch. The 9000 series of Miyotas, again, 28,800 VPH sweep, very, very smooth, and not super expensive for the company to use, so again, they're not kind of pushing that cost onto the consumers. Sapphire crystal, again, makes it for a great everyday piece. The next pro might be a surprise for you to hear, at least coming from me. I think the Bauhaus design in this case, with the way that Sternglas presented it with this kind of dark gray dial, it strikes a balance, right? It's minimalist enough to scratch that Bauhaus itch, but it's not so sterile that it's boring. Again, I think that dark dial, coupled with that kind of splash of tasteful color here and there, it just makes for a very nice presentation without being too kind of out there. And the final pro is that this size is quite versatile. If you have smaller wrists, you can pull this watch off, but if you're larger and you have a bit larger wrists like me, that's perfect too. The watch seems to fit on a versatile kind of large sampling of people. Now to the cons, okay? If you want a highly complicated, really dynamic watch with a bunch of guilloche patterns and crazy cutouts and complications, this is not the watch for you. This does have some complication with that date window, and I think it's presented very, very nicely, but I will admit it's not super duper dynamic. The next con kind of piggybacks off of that one. If you absolutely hate everything Bauhaus, this is probably not the watch for you. So what's the conclusion here about this Sternglas Naos Pro Automatic? Well, I think for $799, if you're interested in a true Bauhaus-inspired watch that will work day to day, again, 50-meter water resistance rating, sapphire crystal with a stainless steel case, this is a watch that you don't have to baby. It's modern built with a great movement, and it just seems to have a nice balance when we're looking at design, functionality, and price. You're just getting a very solid, nicely presented watch, simple but not boring, for under $1,000 US. But again, that said, if you are looking for something with a bit more personality, with a bit louder of a design language, this might not be the watch for you. So what do you think? Are you a minimalist person, or do you like some things with a little bit more pizzazz? Leave me that comment, and I want to hear from you. Alright guys, I will catch you on the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.